Welcome to Entry Point Faith. Join us each week to discover fresh meaning in the world and find faith your way. Now, here is Pastor Nancy Lafferty.
Today's guest speaker is Bettye Ellison.
By show of hands, how many of you have watched the Ted Lasso series on television? Okay, and how many of you have heard of Ted Lasso? Okay, I have no reason for asking that. That doesn't change anything I'm going to say right now, but I just was curious. Let me start at the beginning. The show follows Ted Lasso. He's an American college football coach who is hired to coach an English soccer team with the secret intention that his inexperience will lead to failure. But he has this corny and funny and optimistic leadership style that proves unexpectedly successful. The concept of Ted Lasso started as Jason Sudeikis wrote it as an advertisement for NBC Sports when they were beginning to do coverage of English Premier League soccer. Now, as you may know, in America, this is a football. Only one person can touch it with their feet. In England, the rest of the world, this is a soccer ball, is a football, right? So as I am talking, I'm going to say soccer and football and all messed up, but football is right there. The main character, Ted Lasso, is a Division III American college football coach. The team he is recruited to coach for is a fictional English Premier League football team called AFC Richmond. The team's owner, Rebecca Welton, hires Lasso, hoping that he will fail as a means of getting revenge on the team's previous owner, her unfaithful ex-husband, Rupert. Are you with me here? Yes. Okay, just want to make sure. However, Ted's charm, personality, and humor begin to win over Rebecca, the team, and all of those who were skeptical about his ability to coach AFC Richmond. In reality, Ted and the entire cast didn't only win over Rebecca and the team, but Ted Lasso, the series, quickly won over viewers. The show was nominated for a record-breaking 20 Primetime Emmys after its first season. A quick search brought at least 9 podcasts dedicated to discussions on Ted Lasso, from discussions on the series itself, to use Ted Lasso Classroom, to exchanging biscuit recipes, which is cookies, if you don't know that, to just let Ted Lasso make lessons. There is even a book entitled The Gospel According to Ted Lasso. More important than the awards and the podcast is that the fact that Jason Sudeikis and the other author, Bill Lawrence, created a show that has challenged how we see the world. An article by Kevin Fallon in the entertainment section of the Daily Beast said this about the show: "The reason it burrowed into our collective psyche is that for all of the laughs, Ted Lasso offered near incessant revelations about who we are as people and the potential for goodness in our lives." If you look in the dictionary, you'll find the word spiritual is defined as relating to or affecting the human spirit or soul, as opposed to material or physical things. In that sense, Ted is a highly spiritual being, and the show offers us a way to nourish our soul. As Daniel Horan said in the National Catholic Reporter, Ted offers another set of values to prioritize, another approach to decision-making and relationship building. Ted Lasso debuted during the pandemic, at a time when we desperately needed to see the goodness in the world. And in a world where there is still a painful struggle for power and prestige, where villains outnumber heroes, Ted shows us that there is power in positivity. For example, when Rebecca asked Ted in the series' first episode if he believes in ghosts, he replies, "I do, but more importantly, I think they should believe in themselves." So I actually wanted to tack on part 1 to the title of this message, because in the first version that I sent to Nancy, I tried to share with you everything I loved about the show. And I've watched it 3.5 times. So I really loved it. In her thoughtful and understanding way, she told me it was overwhelming and I was trying to fit way too much into our 45-minute service. Thank you, Nancy. If Ted would have read it, he might have used the same words that he used in season 3, episode 7. Point is, a lot of times, the right idea is just sitting behind a couple of the wrong ones. So whether or not this is part 1 and there is actually a part 2, please know that today I am only starting to share with you the spiritual guidance I have gotten from Ted Lasso. For today, I will focus on this. Through his radical positivity, Ted helps us see that avoiding judgment, putting the past behind us, and believing is a wonderful way to engage in life and those around us. It's interesting how those things parallel what we read in the Bible or what we see as we explore our own faith journey. Matthew 7, verse 1 says, "Do not judge, or you too will be judged." Ted Lasso uses the phrase, "Be curious, not judgmental," to help us see how judging others can be harmful. What would the world be like if we were all more curious and less judgmental? I think there would be more understanding and less hate. There would be less bias against people because of their gender, their age, their race, their sexual orientation, political affiliation, and there would be more love. Ted's approach to putting the past behind you really hit home for me. Some of you may relate. Staying awake for hours, worrying about if you could have said something a different way. Worrying about something someone else said or did to you. Wondering if you could have done something better, different, or smarter. Or even worrying about something you didn't do or say. One thing I worried about a lot was parenting my kids. Did I work too much? Did I read enough books to them? Did I allow too much screen time? Did I take them to church enough? Did I help them with their homework enough or too much? Now that I have a grandson, I have a whole new generation to start worrying about. Ted would encourage us to be a goldfish. I have repeated this mantra to myself and many others many times since seeing it for the first time. Isaiah 43, verse 18 says, "Forget former things. Do not dwell on the past." Personally, I've always needed things to be as simple as possible. So my apologies to Isaiah, but Ted's version works a little bit better for me. The word believe has not only become synonymous with the show, but also with what it stood for. Having faith and being open and courageous enough to remain so, even in the face of impossible odds. In the words of Ted himself, he says, "I think it's the lack of hope that comes and gets you. See, I believe in hope. I believe in belief." Here at Entry Point, we not only talk about our belief in a higher power, but also our belief in ourselves and others, and our belief in the goodness of humanity, our own belief in what is possible. So every once in a while, you see me bring my grandson Zane to church. He's a real little guy and loves planets. I'll be honest with you, it did not go well when I received that call from my then 19-year-old son back in 2019, saying we're having a baby. He had just dropped out of college, and now he was telling me that he and Casey were bringing a baby into the world. I certainly did not have the reaction I wanted to have when I was being told that I was becoming a first-time grandparent. There had been so many bad decisions in his life, which resulted in deserving consequences. I didn't know if this baby would impact how this baby would impact my son's future. But after the initial shock, I had to go into belief mode. I accepted the fact that his path was not the one I'd planned for him, but I strongly believed in my son's abilities. I knew that he had the potential to be a wonderful, kind, and successful person. And I had to just hope that this baby was not another roadblock, but instead was actually part of the journey. Fast forward 4 years later, he's matured 20 years. He and his wife are back in school with the mutual goal of creating the best life possible for Zane. They live with Dave and I, and I'm thrilled to see they're doing really well in school, and they're wonderful, loving parents. I do wish they'd clean their room a little more, though. That's actually why I'm crying. Since receiving that call from Hank about Zane coming into the world, I had to work hard to practice not judging but believing. And I didn't even know that I was applying the gospel according to Ted Lasso. Now, while you might think that my time here today was to get you to purchase a subscription to Apple TV so that you too can binge watch Ted Lasso, in reality, my hope is that we all find the power of positivity in our own lives.
Thanks for listening in on this week's discussion on Entry Point Faith. You can join the Entry Point Faith community in person every Sunday at 10:30 a.m. at Conner Prairie in Fishers, Indiana. For more information and a transcript of Nancy's messages, visit entrypointonline.org. Entry Point Faith is brought to you in partnership with mypodcast.media.